judge you by your intellect, you know, by your personality, not by the way you're dressed. So not covering your hair, that has nothing to do with modernization of time, because religion is authentic. Our religion is orthodox. Our Quran has not changed since it was revealed by the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. It has not changed. That is the original text. So we are abiding the rules and laws of Islam. That does not have to be changed, but we are making our environment, our earth, better. We're working, we're professional women, our children are, you know, we're trying to have them, you know, have higher education. That is going with the times, and we're right there up there. If you see majority of our physicians in America, they're Muslim physicians in America. So in the science and math, I mean, there's a lot of Muslim people in the science and math. They are moving with the times. They're definitely not going backwards.
Sadaf, I agree with all the points you are elaborating. I, being a Muslim, I understand what you're trying to say, right? But the thing is, my question still stands there that this is a changing world. And after September 11, the world has changed a lot. And there is a media war. I will say it's a media war against Muslims, because that's why we have been singled out, and we have been portrayed and given a shadow of Taliban's. And it is all around. And I appreciate your work. That's why you are here, that me and my team at least admire that there is somebody who did a lot of research work, and to go into publishing a book like that, it need a real hard work. So definitely you did a great job, and I appreciate that. But still my question is like this, what we talk about modesty, when we blend ourselves in America, the reality is that, like, on one side there are, as I mentioned earlier, that there are some fundamentalists, or you can say orthodox Muslims, who say that we should be dressed like as we have been told in true Islamic clothing. But there are enlightened or secular Muslims who say that there is a way out, and we can be modest, even not going into that micro details of the Islamic clothing. And factually also, if you look around, there are girls who don't dress up like in the true Islamic fashion. And even if we talk about the true Islamic fashion, it's not only the scarf, that's the one part of our clothing. There is other things to be attached with it. And we have to hide our beauty, especially we're talking about the woman, they have to hide their beauty. Unfortunately, that thing is not being done. When you drive a truck and you go around and you see what society you are moving. To drive a truck, you have to get in contact with so many men, and you have to live in a society which is not a very good society as of today. I know your self-confidence can still keep you pious and everything, but still, you know, like by having a just scarf on your head, I see there are tons of funky and junky girls who put up their head on the scarf, and they are not Muslim, and they are driving motorbikes like crazy. So that does not give an identity that he or she is a Muslim. So either we should become a true Muslims, and then I believe that we should do what Islam has said to us, not that we do one thing and leave the other things, and we stand in between. So since I am taking you as better than me in that point of view, because you did a lot of research, what you think that just by scarf is enough, or do we have to completely dress ourselves as a Muslim and also try to get the internal modesty also among us? How you will say that?
Okay. The focus should always be about our heart, about our character. And just like the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he had a beautiful character. He was known for being the trustworthy one. People would hire him to do their business work for him because they trusted him. You know, the focus shouldn't just be on the headscarf, the hijab. The focus should be on their heart, of their character. We have the people in my book, whether she's a truck driver, like you mentioned, or other profession she is, you know, look at her heart. She's a strong woman. She's a hardworking woman. She's providing for her family. And we're living in this world where we have to deal with all sorts of people. whether the other woman-to-woman relationship, men-to-woman relationship. You know what your intentions are. You're there because you're working, you're dealing with them professionally, you're dressing modestly, and you're being respected and honored, just like how Islam honors and respects you. So if one judges them because she's driving a truck, unfortunately, I would say you should. Judging is not something that is very Islamic. You should leave the judging to Allah, because Allah knows, God knows what the intentions are.
Okay, God knows what your intentions are. Let's talk about your experience with Obama. Mm-hmm. Many Americans still are confused that whether he is a Muslim or not. Mm-hmm. And according to the latest Gallup poll, it says that still 43% of the Americans think that he is a Muslim. Since you were lucky enough to be in a place where he was present, and he must be reacting with the other Muslims also during that iftar party, what you will say about Mr. Obama?
Well, we had, it was a very humble experience being there August 13th, 2010, at the annual iftar dinner that the White House hosted. Just like the President Obama had mentioned during his speech at the iftar annual dinner, was that this tradition of having an iftar at the White House is not something new, but actually was started by Thomas Jefferson over 200 years ago. So Thomas Jefferson had invited the delegates of the country Tunisia for iftar. So this goes way back. Even President Bush did it too recently, the president before President Obama. So we had a very delightful dinner with him. He spoke very eloquently, spoke about Ramadan and basically congratulating the Muslims that were present that day, and also talked about how Muslims have been part of the country for years, and the truth is, and I 100% agree with him. First of all, Muslims have been part of this country. We're citizens of the United States of America, just like how Hindus are, Christians are, Jewish people are. We all are citizens of the United States of America. So Eid iftar dinner is not the only religious holiday being celebrated in the White House. It's Christmas. There's always an annual Christmas dinner in the White House, which President Obama or any president at the time hosts. There's also a dinner that they host for Hindu people as well too, and so forth, so on. So just, so Muslims are singled out right now, so it's all about like, if the president is doing something for Islam, it's like, is he Muslim? Or, oh, look, he's favoring Islam again. It's not that. He's doing the American thing. He's a president of the United States of America. He's doing the right thing. He is hosting parties for Hindus, for Jewish, for Christians, and therefore he is also hosting for Muslims as well too. That's an American president for you. The dinner was amazing, and he spoke about everybody wanted to know where he stood for where it came to the Islamic Center in Ground Zero in New York. And once again, I will clear, like many other people have cleared, this Islamic Center is not in Ground Zero. It's actually blocks away. But the thing is, of course, there's a sensitive issue, and believe it or not, but so many people have lost their loved ones during 9/11, and so did the Muslims. Muslims were there who lost their love too. Actually, in fact, there were Muslim firefighters who were there saving other people's lives, who will actually end up losing their own life. But you know why? Because it was a human story. It was a human tragedy, it was a human story, and everybody was affected. Everyone was affected. And just like President Obama said, the people who are being accused, like Muslims who are being accused to do the 9/11, well, you can't, having said that they're Muslim and saying that they're part of Islam, it's like an oxymoron. You cannot put them and Islam connected together, because Islam does not preach that, Islam does not teach that. They are terrorists. If Muslims did it, Christians did it, whoever did it, they're terrorists. That's it, they're terrorists. They're not practicing Judaism, they're not practicing the holy books of Christianity, they're not practicing the holy book of Quran, because none of our holy books teach that. Islam is part of Abrahamic religion, and Abrahamic religions does not preach hatred, killing, murdering, of such things, just like the events of 9/11 happened. So this was a human tragedy, a human story, affected all religions, all faith, and we need all to get together and help each other out and educate each other, inspire each other. And that is the beauty of the Islamic Center. Because when you look at Imam Faisal, you look at his background history, he's nothing but a proactive interfaith activist, just like his wife Daisy is. They're activist people who are trying to bridge the gap between different faiths. So he is the perfect person for this, to be the leader of this Islamic Center that is there to educate people. So of all the places, just like there's churches around in that area, it's a perfect place to have an Islamic Center, because not all of us people who are not Muslims, you know, not all non-Muslims are friends with Muslims or working along a Muslim. So what a beautiful place, what a perfect thing to have in the area where 9/11 happened. So when you have a question and you want to be enlightened with information, that is a place to go to be enlightened, to increase your knowledge. Because, you know, the last thing we want to do is bring more hatred into this world, especially for the next following generations.
Well, Sadaf, you rightly touched another very sensitive issue. That is the Park 51 project. You explain what is in your point of view. I may differ in a slight way, because when I think about, I always think in a broader perception, and I always see guidance from how our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, has settled issues. There were issues. We know one greatest issue was when Hajj-e-Aswad was to be mounted in Khane Kaaba. Even among Muslims, there was an issue. Everybody wanted to get that opportunity of taking that humbly doing that, performing that thing to lift Hajj-e-Aswad and place over there. And how wisely the Prophet did it, that he brought each other and said everyone to bring it up, and then he put it on. So it is the wisdom which should be taken care of. And when you talk about I never wanted to touch this topic, but since you mentioned, so what I think is that generally we are lucky that we live in America.
Of course.
It is not because I'm living here, because in my 7 or 8 years, I have seen that most of the Americans are very nice people, and they believe in goodwills. And even on this issue, I found that general perception of Americans is that Muslims should be allowed to have their community center coming up over there. Even so much so, President Obama also said that the Muslims have the right to go and develop their community center over there. And legally also we have the right to go and make a mosque or community center over there.
Private land, yeah.
But on the other side, now the responsibility comes on Muslims, how they react. If you have been so nice to me, we are talking about our Islamic center, we are talking about our worship place, we are talking about a house of God, and which is supposed to give out the rays of peace and love and affection. So what's wrong in it if we now come up and say, okay, because there are thousands of effectees. I know that in 9/11 it was not only Christians, or we cannot exclude that who was the victim of that. The whole world, as I mentioned, that 9/11 is not a one word or one place incident. It happened at one place, which we call it a 9/0, but it affected the whole world. It affected the all communities in the world. So if some people want and they feel hurt that their loved ones were killed by the Muslims, and despite of the fact that generally the Americans